Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to Momentum's online Customer Connect for October 23. Happy to have you with us. We had 70 registrations, many of whom have joined. I'm sure there'll be a few more jumping in very shortly, but we want to get away on time and make sure we provide you the content that you're looking for. My name's Emery, Managing Director at Momentum Software Solutions, and I'm hosting this morning's event. So just a couple of quick housekeeping matters before we get into the content. Just a reminder on web meeting etiquette, if you don't mind. Please keep your microphone on mute. That just helps us prevent any background noise coming through and interfering with the speakers. But by all means, if you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand or pop something in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. We are recording the webinar, and we will be providing a copy of the recording to everybody that either attended or registered. So the agenda for this morning is an update from myself on Momentum. It's going to be a brief update. So some of the feedback we received from our last couple of customer connects is our customers want to hear more about the product. We'd like to get some more training and helpful hits and information they can use. So less about me and more about you. So that's what we're going to be doing. Secondly, we have Bruce Minty, Senior Product Manager at MYOB, and Bruce is going to be presenting to us on a range of things from an MYOB software perspective that I'm sure you'll find great information for you. Then we have some breakout rooms where we're going to be providing some tips and tricks and training on both MYOB Advanced and MYOB EXO. So there are two different breakout rooms for that from our consultants, Nicola and Jen. We have an interview with one of our customers, Mark Siliato from Greenwing Resources, who recently implemented MYOB Advanced and have that running in 3 different countries. So that's an interesting case to listen to. And then lastly, we have Shraddha from Trailed. And Trailed is an accounts payable automation and fraud prevention solution that works with both MYOB EXO and MYOB Advanced that I'm sure you'll be interested to take a look at. So a quick introduction from Momentum and our team. We have a growing and becoming medium-sized business, all up about 40 people in our team. So our consulting, support and tech team, you can see it's nice to put a face to a name, even if it's a slide. They're all busy either on site or on Teams right now with our customers. But you can see that our team is becoming sizable to meet the needs of our customers. So at any one time, we have 40 implementations of either Advanced or EXO happening. Projects, continual improvement projects going with our customers all the time, as well as day-to-day support and upgrades. We have a leadership project management team, myself, Deanne Black, our manager of people, processes and culture, and our service delivery manager, Ian Dunn, supported by David Wallace in our customer success team, Kathy Davis, who's our customer services manager, running the support team, and Andrew Groan and James McLaughlin are our project managers who are project managing all of our implementations and larger projects that we do with our customers. And last but not least, our sales and marketing team. So Brian Janes, Peter Jeffrey, Stefan Boots. Stefan recently joined us in New South Wales, where we're expanding our presence as we speak, supported by Pankaj and Morgan. So the last 12 months, Momentum has continued our growth journey. We now have over 265 customers running the ERP software that we do. We completed at least 45 ERP implementations, mostly in MYOB Advanced, but not entirely. And we have 41 in progress right now. So a very busy team. helping businesses move from small business systems that they've outgrown or out-of-date ERP systems to more modern solutions. We increased our consulting team to over 32 people, celebrated our 15th year in business, and won a number of awards. Most proudly is the MYOB Australia and New Zealand Channel Partner of the Year for 2022. That's the first time we've won that award. We also were the Construction Partner of the Year for MYOB Advanced and Excellence in Marketing. And we also were the Customer Success Partner of the Year for Wise, which is another cloud ERP that we've been doing for a year or two. So a couple of things that I just wanted to highlight in terms of Momentum's services. So apart from being an ERP provider, and that means implementer, customizer, support company, we also do a number of other things, some of which you already know, but some of which you may not know. So I thought I'd touch on those. So firstly, system integration is something that we do a lot of. So the software that you use has APIs that can be used to integrate with other platforms that you might need to integrate with. Integration these days is much easier where there are APIs in place, but you need an API for each system. Where there isn't one, you can still do integration using files or database connections quite easily, and that's something our tech team does all the time. And we start that with a design process to make sure that we understand what any integration is meant to do, what data is moving from what system to another system, and then develop and test that integration. We also do software development, so that's mostly customizations of the ERP software that you might use, but we also do bespoke software development and add-ons to customer specifications. So that comes up if your unique business has some needs that the ERP may not handle exactly. We do a lot of report development, so there are reporting tools in the software that we use, so we can develop reports in those ERP software reporting tools. As well as that, we do quite a lot in Excel using OData or ODBC connections to your database. And we also have in-house BI skills. So we're doing Power BI visualizations for customers quite regularly. So if any of those things are things that you weren't aware of that Momentum did and there's some interest, then please feel free to reach out to us about those. So now I'm going to hand over to Bruce Minty, and Bruce has a lot to tell you about with the upcoming MYOB Advanced spring release, as well as EXO Business product updates. Thanks, Bruce.
Right. Thanks, Al. You can see my screen? Yep. Beautiful. Thank you, Al, and welcome everyone. It's great to be here today, calling in from wintry and blustery Melbourne. Over the I'm looking after the manufacturing and construction solution for MYOB Advanced, and I'll take you through over the next 20 minutes. I'll take you through the advanced spring release. I'll provide a bit of an update on our product roadmap. I'll touch on some quality management aspects that we recently released within the product, and I'll finish off with an EXO Business product update as well. So a bit to get through over the next 20 minutes, but before we get into that, I just wanted to touch on first our purpose, which is really why we're here. It's been our purpose at its core and hasn't changed for the last 30 years. And it's been, I guess, at our heart is to support Australian and New Zealand businesses start, survive, and succeed. And 30 years ago this year, through the introduction of accounting software designed specifically for the small to medium enterprise sector, MYOB effectively liberated the growth potential of thousands of businesses across Australia and New Zealand, and we continue to do that to this day. In addition to delivering great software, we conduct a lot of market research, and recently we conducted some research that was aimed at identifying some of the key issues affecting the mid-market sector. And particularly this research has shown that disconnection and bad digitization are the leading causes, leading issues, as it were, for businesses in this day and age. So there's three main aspects to that that are being affected around productivity and financial cost and strategic costs. Looking at productivity first, the research revealed that companies are currently wasting the equivalent of 1 working day a week on average, just carrying out manual tasks caused by a lack of integration between their digital tools due to this disconnection and data silos, as it were. So people are having to manually transfer data across from multiple systems, and that's a massive hit to productivity. If you multiply that out, that's 50 odd days a year just wasted in manual tasks. The other one there's around financial costs, and the research here suggests that almost half of us here today on this call have bought software that's literally just sitting on their shelf. When we put that into a financial perspective, 42% paying for subscriptions they simply don't use, and in most cases they've just given up using those solutions because there's a lack of an alternative to switch to. And 1 in 10 businesses polled believe that getting rid of software that they don't use will save them between $200 and $400 a month. And on aggregate, you look at the cost of that just in Australia alone, it equates to $1.4 billion, just across the small to medium business sector. So pretty substantial cost to companies that are paying for software subscriptions they don't simply use. And finally, there on the strategic side of things, so the research revealed that 70% of businesses in Australia are making decisions without having visibility of the information that's required to make those decisions, and to have those timely insights for them to actually think strategically and proactively. So what do we do about it? Well, the way that MYOB tackles these problems and achieves its purpose in helping businesses start, survive, and succeed is about providing customers with a strategic advantage through a scalable SaaS business management platform. And you'll hear that a lot, I guess, in our marketing and in webinars and so forth, is around how we deliver that business management platform. And that's all about connecting critical workflows, providing more visibility of data and more control within their systems as well. So when we talk about that business management platform, what you're seeing here on the screen is exactly that. It is MYOB Advanced. There's 3 core products to that, being Advanced Business. We've got Advanced Payroll and Workforce Management. And throughout that, you're connecting these 6 critical business workflows that involve customers, they involve supply chain workflows, projects, employees, finances, and of course, accounting and tax. Now, that's not to mention the reporting and dashboards to get those real-time insights into your business that we speak of, and in combination there, you've got a modern suite of APIs and integration tools. But of course, dedicated editions as well for the manufacturing sector through our manufacturing edition, as well as for construction with our construction edition. So that's a platform and how it helps businesses, start, survive, and succeed. Now let's now just take a look at what's been going on within the advanced product itself to give you a bit of an idea of what our roadmap looks like over the coming year. There's quite a bit of information on this slide, but and I'll touch on most of these items. In the interest of time, I guess it'll be at a reasonably high level. But if we look at, first of all, the very left-hand side in FY23, after a solid first half of the year with the delivery of the MYOB Advanced Academy, we also delivered the autumn release. We had single sign-on and the delivery of employee onboarding as well. If we work down that first column, next is our major spring release, which has been announced. We'll be deploying that spring release to cohorts of customers in due course. But the spring release itself has over 200 new features within it. There's usability enhancements, fixes across the advanced platform, of course, but there's also some major pieces of work delivered in that release. I'll take you through the elements of that spring release in some slides coming up shortly, so I won't spend too much time on that now. But if we just work down that screen, that column there, later in that year, this year, we've got the delivery of awards management with an advanced workforce management. So we're pretty excited to be able to deliver pre-configured awards for our target industries, as you see there, for retail, hospitality, wholesale, administrative services, and so on. And these are effectively pre-configured awards to ensure that awards are, and all the conditions involved in those are available to users to reduce the complexity when managing, configuration of their employees out on site or wherever they may be. So that's the initial framework, and then from then following on, we'll be in a position to be able to subsequently roll out award structures for construction, award structures for manufacturing, and other key sectors. But as a first pass, we'll be delivering on those particular industries. And then working further down the list, we're also very excited to announce the launch of quality management for wholesale and also manufacturers. And I'll take you through a few slides on that a little later to cover off on some further detail as to what we're delivering. And for construction, we were the first enterprise software vendor to deliver a compliant project and retention trust framework that provides QBCC compliance. So that's the Queensland Building and Construction Commission compliance. And we're really proud of that work. I mean, there was an enormous amount of collaboration between ourselves and a team up in Brisbane from an organisation called Building Trusts. We also worked with the Queensland governments, the QBCC themselves. So that's a really exciting initiative that's now available to customers in the construction sector that are running running projects for the Queensland construction sector. So if we move into the second half of FY23 and H2, we've got online payments for advance, so our customers can receive payments on the platform more efficiently, and obviously with that improve their cash flow. And we'll also be delivering some improvements in payroll. Customers will be able to more easily identify and fix errors within open pays as well. So moving into FY24 now, so the first half of that year, which is rapidly on its way. In addition to the major release that includes a number of major new features and workflow enhancements, we'll also be delivering some AP document recognition using artificial intelligence and machine learning, so a bit of AI ML embedded there. So initially we'll look to involve automating the creation of an AP bill, and that obviously increases data accuracy or data entry accuracy, as it were. Also look to leverage AI ML in other areas, particularly around expense management workflows, and over time, we'll look to develop our own AI solutions using this technology platform as well. So you'll see this permeate throughout the advanced solution. There's a pay and benefits feature coming. So we're actually partnering with Flare to help employers offer everyone within their organization the kind of personal and financial benefits that were once reserved for senior executives. And so, Flare's benefits, their solution provides you with a platform that you can offer perks to attract and retain your staff. And then later in the year, we're also looking at releasing e-invoicing, wholesale edition, I should say, and retentions for New Zealand construction. Anyone in the New Zealand construction sector will have a fully compliant retentions capability. And then first half of FY24, we'll also be looking to introduce process manufacturing. So currently, those that are running our manufacturing solution will understand that it supports either discrete or batch manufacturing workflows. So in 2024, we're going to extend that capability, include process manufacturing workflows that support the production of liquids and bulk powders and powder formulas and the like. So again, we'll be working with eWorkplace apps, much like we did with the release of quality management. to provide a solution that manages more complex continuous production methods. Those production methods are more commonly seen within, say, the food and beverage sector, pharmaceuticals and chemicals industries and the like. Then we've got our autumn edition, autumn release coming in the second part of H1. We're also releasing e-invoicing, so we're working on releasing this to a subset of customers as under an early adopter program. E-invoicing. So with that, once we onboard some customers, we'll be able to send. Those particular customers will be able to send and receive invoices to and from their suppliers via the standard Payable network, and take benefit of the reduced payment terms from their suppliers, but also government agencies if they deal with them. There'll be some features around New Zealand leave management delivered as well. There's as I mentioned, the retail editions, so the platform will seamlessly integrate, storefront and back office, delivering a genuine omni-channel solution. And then a project there that I'm excited about, which is around CPQ. It's another acronym. We do love our acronyms at MYOB, but this one here, CPQ is Configure Price Quote. And so later in 2024, once work's been completed on the Acumatica side in exposing the endpoints of our core product configurator, we'll then have the opportunity to partner with a choice of web-based CPQ tools so that our customers can make use of solutions that take our configurator to the next level, where potentially in a B2C environment, business to consumer environment, consumers will be able to configure multi-level bills of materials via an online portal, and they can actually visualize the product as it's being configured. And of course, the price of that configuration will be updated at each stage of the configuration as well. So lots and lots to come down the pipeline for MYOB Advanced over the next 12 months. But taking a step back into the current day, our spring release, as I mentioned before, was announced recently. We'll be rolling this out into the first cohorts later this year. There's a number of new features. I mentioned this, I think it's over 200 new features. I'm not going to go through all those, but I'll just touch on some of them. If we start on the left-hand side, there's an option here to delegate and reassign approvals when colleagues go on leave. So if you're an approving officer, you can delegate that to another user and have them perform those approvals. You can also create a customer from a business account during that sales order creation process, particularly within CRM if you're running your sales quotes and you're doing that conversion into a sales order. You can create that customer account from that process. There's also some new sales metrics and inquiries related to opportunity analysis and the like. On the projects and construction side, there's been a number of reporting enhancements done, more or less a redesign to improve readability within reports within construction and unify their design, because as you would expect, project reports have been created over the number of years, and therefore designs need to be unified and that's that particular project. As well as the introduction of a new project progress report, and so that it's based on the released progress worksheets for a project, so that encapsulates those transactions as well. There's been some changes to the cost projections, so for forecast cost complete processes are better maintained via this new cost projection change, which updates and adds to some of the new summary values at the top, but also provides the opportunity to enter in projected cost quantities and values via the table, the cost projection table. There's also some improvements around project-specific inventory tracking, and progress worksheets is now available via the mobile app. Lastly, on the distribution side, there's a new mixed sales order type So a new MO order type available. So you'll be able to run sales returns as well as sales lines within a single order type. And there's some intelligence built in there too. So based on whether the order has a negative or positive value, it will determine the order type. So whether it's a credit memo or a standard sales order, just simply based on the value of the order there. There's some matrix item template improvements and a whole bunch of predefined inventory purchasing and also sales order roles for you to choose from as well. So lots to come in on for the spring release. Some further improvements delivered around manufacturing is the ability to deallocate unused materials from production orders. So if you've overestimated components on a production order and you don't consume those items, prior to this release, those unused items will remain as items to be allocated, and MRP will still more or less see those items in its demand calculations. So there's an option now to deallocate those unused materials where that production order has been complete. There's a whole bunch of new side panels as well. So within production order maintenance, the production order details forms, within estimating, within bills of materials, and also MRP. So anyone here that uses side panels will be delighted that these have been incrementally rolled out to other modules across the platform. So that's exciting. And I understand there's some new side panels coming for construction as well. There's a few MRP history and audit reports available, so you can understand the performance of MRP and see if and determine whether or not MRP is taking a performance hit due to, say, for instance, the incorrect setup of an inventory item and so on, and a number of minor UI changes across manufacturing as well. Just very briefly on the technology side, Teams integration has now been delivered as well, so you can chat, call, and upload files into Advanced from Teams. And there's also some enhancements to business events, particularly within CRM. So in previous versions, it was possible to create business events and trigger, those business events would be triggered based on a change within a form. However, in this release, the ability to trigger that event has now been extended so that it's triggered where there's been no activity on an existing record. So, for instance, it may be there's been no transaction entered against a certain opportunity or lead within CRM, and it will then trigger that business event based on that non-action, as it were. So, lots to come in the spring release. Just briefly on payroll and employee self-service, there's been some improvements to the calculation error handling in open pays, so much easier to identify and resolve calculation issues. Within the advanced employee onboarding, you can create employee profiles that represent different pay scenarios within your business and streamline and standardize that process. Specifically for employee self-service, there's been a number of enhancements to resolve some long-standing customer issues. So listening to customers, those items with the highest votes generally get pushed through to development, and such is the case with some of these items here. So available leave balances are now the sum of earned balance and accrued balance. That was pretty much a high voting item. Projected leave balances are now visible to managers via the MSS role. There's now a cancellation option once leave has been approved, so then managers can get an email about employee leave being cancelled. And lastly, leave requests have a new status being manually entered. So these just a snapshot of the key themes that you see on this slide that permeate through the next couple of releases, where we want to enhance usability and make the most of coming changes to the UI so that our customers can adapt and tailor their workspace to suit their needs. So obviously, intuitive software leads to high adoption, and so a UI revamp project will obviously deliver significant benefits, and that's coming over the next few releases. And with that, you'll be able to, adjust any screen. You can move and hide fields and tabs and tailor your workspace, or, simply, or entire screens within Advanced can be adapted. But we want to, improve data accessibility, whether via the use of side panels, whether it's improved reporting or through generic inquiries. We're continuing to strengthen our key workflows, and that's a priority for us. And you're seeing this in each release, especially throughout Payroll. And finally, stronger and deeper integrations, with key ISV solutions obviously helps our customers adapt their business management platform and scale their software and respond to new opportunities as well. So that's at MYOB Advanced. The other thing I'd just like to touch on, as I alluded to earlier, is around the release of quality management. And so this is a really exciting opportunity for us to, extend the reach of our application through the integration of best-in-class applications. And this one in particular is a new white label product developed by eWorkplace Apps. And what it does here is it actually delivers embedded quality control workflows in MYOB Advanced, and extends our capability and helps customers reduce costs, reduce wastage. They can stay compliant with quality standards, and obviously, deliver high quality products to their customers. For those that are unaware, quality management, as I mentioned, has been authored by an organization called eWorkplace Apps. They are a spin-off of Batchmaster. Batchmaster themselves are a 30-year global leader in process manufacturing, but also in distribution software. The application itself is built on the Acumatica framework, and through our OEM agreement with Acumatica, we've inherited the option of releasing it within our region. So in essence, it's developed using the MYOB toolset as well. It uses the same MYOB database. It's fully integrated with the applications you see down the bottom here in purple, being the manufacturing edition, the construction edition, the enterprise and plus editions as well. What it delivers is a thorough testing capability at receiving, throughout production, at shipping, ad hoc testing, and so on. So it's a solution for wholesale distribution customers, as equally as it is a solution for manufacturing organizations as well. There's inspections and checklists. There's a full non-conformance and corrective and preventative action workflow built into the system as well. Acceptable quality limits, I should say, and sampling. You've got full vendor performance. And what's really important here is the ability to generate certificates of analysis, especially for those that are working within the food industry or the chemical industries, and our full suite of reporting capability and analytics embedded in that application as well. So it looks and feels exactly like an MYOB product. What you're seeing here on the right-hand side, and that screenshot is its main menu. As you can see, it looks exactly like any other MYOB menu, and all the screens will also look and feel exactly like an MYOB screen as well. So go so far as I mentioned before to say that it feels like an embedded product. Some of the main features I mentioned here: you can set those testing standards, you can record the results of those tests and evaluate for usage, whether it be within a production workflow or shipping out to customers and the like. You can quarantine and gate those operations, and that's really, really important here. Unlike other solutions that sit outside the core ERP, this one provides the opportunity to gate an operation. And what I mean by that is that if you're doing a standard shipping process out to a customer, you cannot complete that shipping process until that QA test has been complete itself, and that the results of that test have been captured and that item has passed that test, and then you can continue that shipping process. So it gates the operations gates standard workflows within MYOB. There's the opportunity to set up non-conformance and corrective and preventative action workflows, as I mentioned before. So in cases where tests fail on a particular inventory item, you can trigger off a non-conformance process that leads into a corrective and preventative action outcome. Obviously, through the introduction of quality management into Advanced, you can gain more control over your ERP foundation with inspections and checklists, so you can get quite detailed within those inspections and checklists, incoming goods or throughout production as well, as I mentioned. And obviously, there's plenty of analysis available to you there to understand how you're performing with your quality processes. So the key customer requirements and challenges that this particular solution solves around providing COA, the certificate analysis documentation for products that are shipped to customers. That's obviously, in this case, mandatory. You've got inspections throughout shipping, and you obviously gain more control over customer-initiated quality issues through non-conformance workflows as well. So these are just some of the key requirements that are captured. Those that are dealing with global standards will understand that this solution covers most of those. If you adhere to a standard that's not on this slide you can see now, let me know, and I'll reach out to eWorkplace Apps to get confirmation that their solution adheres to that. But pretty much covers everything from hazardous analysis and critical control points and ISO standards and the like within these given industries. The key workflows, as I mentioned, I won't go into too much detail here, but the distribution workflows that quality management covers is at receiving. So at inwards, QC orders created, the test results are entered, and those goods are transferred to a location for use or storage. And at shipping stages, similarly to once that sales order is created, the shipment's created for the sales order, then that QC order is generated automatically. And the test is performed, and you can then confirm the shipment. The same applies with production workflows. So there's the concept of in-process QC, which is appending a test against an operation within a bill of material structure, and then having a QC order raised at that operation. So during that move transaction. Alternatively, you can run that QC process at the end of that production order, so that at the end of production, that order goes into a QC process, is tested, and then can be released for shipping out to customers or putting on the shelf. So there's a few ways that you can implement quality management within a production environment. And then lastly, the non-conformance and preventative and corrective actions there. The process here is you trigger that non-conformance process and then capture the root cause and actions that lead to corrective and preventative actions that allow you to capture further data and information, ultimately leading to that disposition process where you either return the goods to stock, whether you return the goods to your vendor, or you scrap them completely. So that hopefully gives you a bit of an idea of how that QC process is embedded within standard workflows of Advanced. But what's also important here is the output information from those processes. As I mentioned before, the certificate analysis that's available there is a standard form. You can simply append your logo to it, but it covers everything from the types of tests that are conducted against those materials, the test results, batch numbers, best by dates, and the like. There's a really fantastic lot recall report as well, which will give you forward and backward visibility of how that lot was produced, and if that lot was broken up and sold to individual customers, it will provide you and trap all that detail within that lot report, which means your recall is thorough, and that report will provide you everything you need to conduct your recall. And also there's a number of charts and graphs embedded within the product. To start with, you can obviously take them as is, or you can adapt them and change them as you need to, just as you would for any other dashboard across Advanced. So I hope that gives you a good idea of what's available, what's coming within the advanced platform. I just now want to shift into the world of EXO and just give you a bit of an update as to what's happening in the EXO business side of things. The product mission for EXO Business is to continue supporting existing customers with compliance and value-add enhancements, I should add. Also, making it easier to take customers to the cloud through digital transformation. So, just to give you an idea of what's been delivered for EXO Business from a product update standpoint, there's some extra fields have been enhanced. There's a mandatory option on those as well. There's basic search now includes those extra fields. The extra field access can be managed at the roles or users level. There's a deprecation of the paper application for AU Westpac bank feeds. His delivery address has been extended out to 50 character limits with validation. We've added an API input endpoint for creditor account details, and email CC and blind CC for debtors and job cost invoices as well. So a little bit to come down the pipeline there. The EXO team obviously, is focused on ideas that enhance the user experience and increase business efficiencies, and the features being delivered in Q4. Things such as adding extra fields to the receipt and payment entry. They were allowing extra fields on the bill of material component lines as well. We've added extra fields on the work order lines, and we've enhanced the security by limiting password reuse after 4 cycles, I understand. So in the near term, the focus is on obviously, usability and drawing from the ideas portal for future releases. So that's what's coming in the near term. And I now just want to switch to talk about EXO Payroll and employee services as well. Now, many of you would be aware, of the recent announcement that we're retiring EXO Payroll, EXO Employer Services, with a sunset date of November 2025. So that's over 2 years away now, and I can confirm that the decision is completely independent of the EXO Business product and has no impact on it at all. So these are 2 entirely different products written in different languages and on a separate databases. The decision to retire EXO ES isn't taken lightly, and there are many factors taken into consideration. And if you do have EXO ES, I would encourage you to think about your plans for that sooner rather than later, as there's a lot of customers needing to move. But we also have some very strong commercial offers in place and migration tools and strategies available to help you with that move. So if you decide that MYOB Advanced Payroll is the right place for you, and you feel that that's where you need to land, then that's fantastic. So just to reiterate that there's been no decision made to retire EXO Business at this stage. However, you are all likely aware that the future state within MYOB is for our enterprise customers to move to our cloud-based MYOB Advanced platform in time. It's a platform that we believe will best serve our customers and help their businesses into the future. So with that, I just wanted to touch on the digital transformation journey itself. So one of the reasons for the 2-year product retirement notice period in this case is that we recognise that digital transformation is indeed a journey, and although we firmly believe that our customers will be better placed in the future within MYOB Advanced, for the many reasons that I just spoke about. We want to move to a future state that we know that the move to that future state can challenge both people and financial resources, and that's why MYOB wants to invest in helping our customers make that journey. So 2 of the ways we're doing this is through our Adapt migration tooling and through digital transformation commercial packages. So we spent over a year developing our Adapt tooling that leverages our knowledge of our customers and their systems, and the Adapt tooling helps automate much of the data extraction and cleansing work that's required as part of that digital transformation. that translates directly into an easier and faster and more cost-effective implementation with also a reduced risk. And on top of that, when you're ready to move, MYOB is offering a digital transformation commercial package to support the journey and remove some of the financial obstacles that might be making you hesitate in getting started. So with that, I would advise you to reach out to Momentum and just have a conversation about how all this works and what is available to you by way of the ADAPT tooling as well as the digital transformation commercial packages. So I think I've taken up my my fair share of about 20 minutes. I've got a little bit of, I do apologise, but look, thank you, Al, and thanks for joining everyone.
Thanks, Bruce. All right, so I might just touch on paths to digital transformation, and I think this is relevant predominantly for our EXO customers, but if you leave the ERP out of it, digital transformation embraces other applications like cloud-based document repositories, approval systems, mobile applications, use of SharePoint or Microsoft Teams if you're working in a Microsoft environment. But for those customers who are thinking about moving from on-premise to cloud ERP, there's a process to go through, and it roughly looks like this, and it partly depends on your complexity. So if you would describe your business as low to medium complexity, then just have a talk to us because we already have quite a lot of knowledge about your business, having supported you for however many years, and we can talk you through what the process looks like to move from EXO to advanced, what the differences are between the two, understanding that they are completely separately developed ERPs, and what the process is. If you would describe your business as a much more high complexity business, and that's usually not so much around transactional volume, but your business does lots of different things, lots of different ways, then that's something that we would normally suggest that a business requirements document and some workflow processes is done. And I've got a bit of a diagram because obviously different businesses may or may not have the capacity to do that. And by capacity, it could just be you don't have time, or it could be you don't have the right person in your business who could prepare a document like that. So if you do, we would suggest that you create one, and we can help you with a template for that if you like, because it gives you something to measure against when you're making your decisions around what is a must-have, what's a nice-to-have, what's a maybe in the future requirement to meet your current software business needs. If you don't have much capacity, that's something that we can do for you, or we can introduce you to a digital transformation or an ERP consultant who could do it as a completely independent exercise. So that those are options in terms of what you might do to get started. And then flowing on from that, changing ERP is a non-trivial task. So things that you would need to be thinking about is establishing a time frame and a budget to do it. So you might start with the end in mind. Ideally, when would you like to be live with a new system, and work backwards from there. Budget, we can help you with what that is likely to be for an advanced implementation. But you can also do quite a bit of your own research. So we have videos on our website about most of the key modules and features of MYOB Advanced. So that's something that you can do independently of us. And the good thing about videos, you can do them in your own time. You don't need to make a meeting with anybody. You can watch them in your lunch break or whenever you have time to do it. You can obviously engage with Momentum to do much more detailed comparison between EXO and Advanced. And so there's a bit of an exercise to do with that because, for example, your EXO may have been customized, but those customizations may not be necessary in Advanced because they may be standard features, but equally they might not. So we need to look at that. We wouldn't say that Advanced has every single feature that EXO has and then more. So we need to make sure that there are no gaps. It is clearly the case that Advanced has many, many more features than EXO on top of that. But we need to make sure that that Advanced is going to meet your requirement. And it might require some customization or integration, just like EXO would have when we first implemented it for you. Then you would have some engagement with us in terms of a very tailored demonstration. So you can see what Advanced might work like for a situation like yours. And if you want to go ahead, then there's some commercials and proposals to do, create an internal project team and start the implementation. And it is often a very good idea to do your implementation in phases. So whatever those might be, and they're usually modules of the solution that you might choose to go live with before other modules are then done. There are some things that have to be done together, but there are certain modules that can be done somewhat independently of each other. So that can be a less risky approach, not so much disruption, less things changing all at once, and can also, help with your capacity as well. Okay, so our next agenda item is a customer interview with Mark Siliato, the finance manager of Greenwing Resources. And he had a very interesting story to tell us. And so the video is pretty much self-explanatory. So I'll play it for you now. So this is an interview with Mark Siliato, finance manager of Greenwing Resources and Momentum Software Solutions. So thanks for joining us, Mark.
Okay.
We wanted to firstly ask you to tell us a little bit about Greenwing Resources. What does Greenwing do and what's the background?
First up, thanks for in asking me to share my experience of Momentum with you guys. So Greenwing Resources Limited is an ASX listed company. It's what you'd probably colloquially call a junior explorer, in that it's a small cap mining company that has interest in projects in Madagascar and most recently over in Argentina, looking for getting on the lithium bandwagon, as it were. So it's a small entity in that respect. It has a number of whilst it's small, it's also quite challenging because each of these entities have local currency ledgers to deal with. And with those countries as well, you're having to deal with their compliance and legislation and bureaucracy and employment and things like that. So I joined the group about 3.5 years ago in May 2020. And straight away, I saw that what was being used at the moment had to change. There was the Greenwing used to be called Bass Metals Limited, so we went through a name change a couple of years ago, and Bass Metals Limited was on MYOB account right. So the old not the old, but the online version, and the overseas entities. We only had Madagascar at the time, and another holding entity, Mauritius, were on QuickBooks, which was like on a 2012 desktop version, which were denominated in US dollars. So immediately I saw that there was a need to change this. I stumbled through for a couple of years. Our auditors, quite frankly, hated it because every audit we got, there were issues with, look, Excel's a fantastic program. I can make it bacon and eggs and coffee and whatever because I'm very good at it. But when it comes to using it as a source document, auditors really hate it because the numbers have to get in there somehow. How do they get in? You've got to type them in. And as most humans are, we're not infallible. We'll always do typos. We'll always, in the spirit of hurrying something along and getting something done, we're going to make errors. So these were the errors that were coming up time and time again in our audit reports. And I said, honestly, I don't know how I stumbled on MYOB Advanced. It might have been a Google search. So thank you, Google. You guys can thank Google for that. But I stumbled across it and I met with Brian James, and I was looking for three things. I was looking for local currency ledgers that could be reported in local currency, translating those ledgers with ease into AUD, and then consolidating them into AUD, and then a few other trimmings like automatic bank feeds for our Australian entities and the ability to do payroll as well.
Yeah.
So MYOB
your solution footprint at the time, if you don't mind if I summarize, it was
Yep.
two different types of small business software, not really designed for, probably not so much the scale of the business at that time, but more the complexity as far as being able to manage businesses that operate in different jurisdictions.
That's right. Yeah.
And in different currencies, but
That's
right.
Yep.
Equally important, as you've just said, both from a management and an audit perspective.
So, and what was happening, Al, was that every audit time, because these ERPs, I suppose you could call them, were desktop based, we were forever having to provide auditors with, AP ledgers and, AP ledger at 30 June. And then when they come in to do the audit, AP ledger at 30 September, so they could do subsequent testing and making sure bills were paid. And was that bill paid? Give me the invoice, show me the bank statement, all of these sort of things. What was that journal for? All, things like that. So I was unable to, particularly with general journals, I was unable to attach any kind of support for them. I stumbled with this, and then I met Brian and I said, Brian, this is what I want. He said, Mark, this is what we can deliver. I went, this is fantastic. The team at Momentum were fantastic. I guess because being, a chartered accountant and whatever you want to call me, I knew what I was looking for. I knew what I wanted to see from on the back end. So I think the Momentum guys were quite appreciative of that, because I was able to steer them in the right direction. I've worked on projects before where you just assume stuff and it just completely goes wrong. In this case, I was able to tell them exactly what I wanted to see, what I wanted to be coming out the other side, and what was going to be a success. And the success was, we went live on the 1st of September last year, and it was fantastic. Pardon me. My accountant in Madagascar, and more recently our one in Argentina. Argentina we're reporting in Argentine peso. Madagascar we're reporting in Madagascan ariary. They love it. Every single invoice has a support. Every journal has a support. I can then go in and look at them whenever I want and see all the support there. Our auditors love it because I can give them access and they can sort journals and they can sort from highest to lowest. They can sort in currency. They can see the invoices. They can do the subsequent testing. They can look at the bank feeds.
Okay, that's great. And so what modules of MYOB Advanced are you using?
At the moment, we're using, obviously, the finance module, the banking module, payables, receivables. We don't really have a lot of receivables, and people.
Okay, so financials predominantly across several different countries and currencies with consolidations.
Yep.
And the supporting subledger transactions as well.
Yep.
And tell us about the experience with implementing MYOB Advanced with the Momentum team.
Look, I think what I do, like, for me, I use it as a bit of a personal sort of dragon slaying story, I suppose, because they're basically the board and the key management person basically said, Mark, this is on you. If you want it, this is your baby. You run it, you drive it, you make it succeed. So whilst there was probably a little bit of pressure on me, given that they tried to put something else in and it didn't work, I had to make sure that I went into this with the right frame of mind and not to rush it, because I didn't want to just run it through just for the sake of running it through. So it was good. I think for me, it was an opportunity to get rid of those legacy systems that had different, I think in my account, right, the bank account was 1-1000. I think in the QuickBooks ledgers, it was some different number again. So I was able to streamline all of that. I think the hardest part was probably coming up with the chart of accounts, making sure I picked everything up, and I wanted to try and consolidate accounts. I didn't want to have too many there. But in terms of the experience, I think it was nothing short of, I think, really fantastic, because, as I said, I was able to tell them exactly what I wanted. We had a methodical approach. We got the chart of accounts right. We got the mapping right. And then it was a matter of just basically picking the date, and then got the bank feed set up. Had a bit of an issue with the super, but that was okay. We got that sorted in the end. And then we did a dry run, and then it worked. And then we went, okay, well, that's it. You can you can start. So I just told my accountant in Madagascar, and she was heavily involved with the training as well. So she picked it up quite easily. And, you know, she's been trained really well in that she knows what to support, the support to attach. And rather than emailing stuff back and forth, I just attach something to a journal and say it's there. You can pick it up when you want. So
Yes.
it cuts down on the emails, which is really good.
Absolutely. Perfect. And how would you say advanced, or actually another question I wanted to ask, because a key outcome of the project for you and for your management team would be reporting, I would assume.
Yeah.
So how were you able to achieve the reporting outcomes that you needed?
It was, you know, so I'm in for the long game, as you know, Al. So like, you know, like I think when I started, management accounts were kind of like climbing Everest. They were just near impossible because just the whole manual process of it. So I think it was taking somewhere upwards of 2 or 3 weeks, which is just ridiculous for management accounts. They need to be pumped out at least in a week. September accounts, I just got them out the other day, and I just had to wait for Madagascar to finish. So it took me probably the total sum of 2 days. You know, to get it down from 3 weeks to 2 days is, I think, is pretty good.
Yeah, and a much better utilization of your time.
That's right.
Analyzing rather than
Yeah.
transposing. Thanks, Mark. And so any thoughts or suggestions for other companies considering, you know, cloud ERP in general or MYOB Advanced specifically?
Yeah, I think I think it's you know, for those, even if you didn't have like multinational currency, it's still a really good program, just for being able to consolidate. You can also, you know, we've got 2 AUD entities. They're able to be, you're able to post from one ledger to another, and it picks it up straight away rather than having to post in, say, the Greenwing ledger, then go to the other ledger and post it. It'll just pick up like loans automatically.
Correct, all of which is auditable. So
yes,
overall, it sounds like, you know, a big uplift in trust in the numbers because the system is doing what it's designed to do.
Yes.
A pretty significant time saving in report preparation, and a lot more auditability, you know, down to source transaction, irrespective of what the transaction was.
That's right.
All right, great, Mark. I don't have any further questions. So yeah, certainly appreciate your time. It's great to hear a customer who's had such a good experience and pretty much gotten their, hopefully, expectations met as far as what the outcomes were going to be at the start, and plenty more to do down the track as the organization expands and grows.
Well, that's the plan, Al. Yeah, like we're hoping that that, you know, if we ever decide to acquire another entity, or, you know, if something happens to us and we're acquired, God forbid, in terms of due diligence, we've got something there which is very, very robust, and they can test it to the nth degree. It's, you guys have got a reputation. They can talk to you guys. They know that it's legit. They know that it's coming from a good place. So in that respect, it's been nothing short of just awesome.
Fantastic. Well, much appreciated, Mark. Thanks for that. So next, and thanks for staying with us so far today, but I think I would encourage you to stay for a few more minutes and have a listen to Shraddha from Trailed, because their solution around accounts payable automation, but more importantly, fraud prevention, integrated with both EXO and Advanced, is something that's really important to consider. So over to you, Shraddha.
Thank you so much. I will absolutely respect all of your time and try and get through this quickly. And then later, if there's any questions, we can follow up one-on-one. So I'm going to really quickly talk about what is Trailed, how we're differentiating ourselves with other accounts payable solutions, accounts payable challenges that we see over 50% of organisations having today. Then, in the interest of digital transformation, the benefits of AP and process automation, specifically for your supplier invoices. And again, when I speak about our differentiator, you'll see that's all around fraud and cybersecurity. I was going to do a quick 5-6 minute product overview, but let's see how we're going for time. So we'll just push on for now. So in terms of where our differentiator is, our mission at Trailed is to eliminate fraud in business-to-business payments. Streamline, automate, and protect is what we're all about. So streamlining is in that manual coding, so getting that information off your supplier invoice into your MYOB and automating that entire process. In terms of streamlining all your approval workflows, making sure that the invoices, if they're related to a purchase order, automatic 2- and 3-way matching as we are deeply integrated with MYOB. But where we really come to the party is around our protect feature. And like I mentioned, our mission to eliminate fraud in business-to-business payments. So we'd love to show you exactly how we do that. So the latest business insight reports show us that over 50% of businesses have a manual AP process. The reason behind that is pretty sound. We want to slow the process down, remain diligent, make sure that there's no unnecessary leakages. And a common day in the life of today is what's on your screen today. So your AP team receive a stack of invoices, usually via email, manual variance checks to POs and PO receipts to see if there's any PPV that needs to be taken care of. Slow internal and review processes, especially whose ever desk it's on for the approval. That can be slow and cumbersome depending on what they have on. Then we're chasing missing information, usually via email, and do lots of different silo emails making their way around the organisation, potentially missing out on those pay early discounts. And after all of that, and having got through that as quickly as possible, spot checking for any duplicates or errors that might have existed in that process. And after all that, manually entering these details into your MYOB software. So in terms of that manual process, that has a cost associated with it. The latest stats show us that to process one invoice manually, it's $26 per invoice. When you use an accounts payable solution, that cost comes right down to $7 per invoice, giving you a total saving of $19. Now, a standard volume around the number of AP invoices is 300. And with that cost saving, you're looking at around the $70,000 per year mark. Not only a cost saving, but a time saving to repurpose that into more value adding tasks within the business. On the next slide, we'll talk about, whether we know it or not, all of our personal credit cards are protected by AI. If someone uses our card, we get an instant notification. We can cancel it immediately. Today, B2B payments aren't protected in that same way. So at Trailed, we're designed to actually bring that same level of banking security that you expect within your personal credit card and bring that to your business-to-business payments where millions of dollars are being transacted each week. The stats are eye-watering. Some of these businesses that you're looking at on your screen, Coles, Google, Facebook, who have all had incidents, the difference is that often they can absorb the costs. They can absorb any incidents around fraud or cybersecurity that may occur. For smaller businesses, it's just not that simple. The stats are on your screen at the moment in terms of Australia alone. The cost of invoice fraud and business email compromise estimated to be $896 million. And that's with only 1 in 7 actually being reported to authorities. So the real problem is likely to be multiples of that number. The average amount per stolen attack is around $100,000. So we are on the marketplace within MYOB. Like Al mentioned, we integrate with advanced EXO within the MYOB space and even AccountRight. We did win MYOB App of the Year, which we're extremely proud about. So please do head on to the marketplace or speak to your contact at Momentum. Al, how am I going for a 3 to 4 minute screen share?
Go for it.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to really, really quickly share my screen, again, in the interest of your time. But I think it's going to be a game changer for anyone that does want to find out a little bit more about, and we can have like a customized demonstration for your business. But essentially with the Trailed solution, this is your in tray. So most organisations today receive their invoices via a specific accounts payable inbox. The idea is to have the invoices all land in this screen. If you already have an email that you've got set up, we will automatically forward the invoice to this screen. Once we do that, you'll see that it'll land in a status of draft. If you don't want to do it that way, simply hit the upload button, choose the files that you want to upload, and hit upload. Now, each invoice takes about 3 to 5 seconds to process. In that 3 to 5 seconds, 2 key things are happening. Thing number 1 is that our OCR technology is extracting all the information off the invoice into the system. And thing number 2, our machine learning element is memorizing all your interactions with every supplier. So everything from branch allocations, GL, sub-account allocations, project codes, everything that you are doing with that invoice, it's memorizing so that every time it's getting more and more efficient and less manual coding is required. So I'll just do one example with us today. I've loaded 2 invoices here and both are in a draft status. If I click on this one for Ozone Organics, a copy of the invoice presents itself on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, the accounts team now just need to eyeball as opposed to manually key in data. So if I click on the invoice number, you should be able to see a red box on the left-hand side telling us where the OCR technology is actually picking that data point up from. Now, if it's picked it up incorrectly, there's a number of different data points all throughout the invoice where you can teach the machine how to pick it up next time in the interest of 99+% accuracy. But for this one, I'm really happy with where it's been picked up from. Purchase order number, really happy with that. Invoice date, perfect. So the role of the accounts payable team becomes to eyeball the information to make sure it's correct. The ERP supplier has been matched on both company name and tax number and integrated with your master data within your MYOB. And finally, on the right-hand side, the pricing information, you can see, again, that red box where it's being picked up from. That top section, all around data extraction. If I keep going down, this is the power of the platform coming to life around purchase orders and 3-way matching. So this particular tax invoice is linked to a purchase order, as we saw up here, 000636. In the heart of your screen, you can see the number 3. If I click on that, that's essentially telling us that 3 goods have been receipted for this particular purchase order. As I click that button, all 3 have presented themselves, with any PPV becoming apparent really quite easily. So if this was a different number and there is a variance, you can see that variance really quickly presents itself. Now we can set acceptable thresholds for any variances. Not all items will be fulfilled in a linear fashion, so you can, you can apply multiple purchase orders to the one tax invoice, or you can receipt goods as they arrive, and the purchase order will remain open in MYOB until the full 3-way match has been complete. In this example now, we would come and simply hit submit. It's as simple as that in terms of the AP process. In terms of the approval process, they have access to one tab, and that one tab is My Invoices. Clicking on My Invoices, you can see there's one invoice there waiting for us to approve. However, it is a high-risk invoice. So what sort of things are we looking out for to flag whether an invoice is low risk or high risk? We're looking for duplicate invoices. We're looking for BSB and account number. Is it a match between the tax invoice and your supplier master data? If it is a match between those two, is anybody else throughout the economy paying that supplier using those exact same BSB and account details? We're looking for IP address as to where the invoice stemmed from compared to normal. We're looking for PDF metadata, logos. Has the invoice been through any PDF editing tools before making its way through to your system? All those checks and measures and a whole bunch more is what makes up that risk warning and flags something as either a high or low risk. If I click on this invoice as the approver, similar interface where the copy of the invoice is on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, it's telling us this is a high-risk invoice because the payment details don't match what's in your ERP system. Also, the payment details have changed since you last paid these guys, and the value you're being asked to pay exceeds your supplier maximum as to what you interact with this supplier, usually on an average monthly basis. So all those things together have flagged this as a high-risk invoice. In this example, we wouldn't want to approve this straight away without looking into it, and we use the trailed encrypted platform to tag somebody within our organisation and give them whatever instruction is relevant. This is great for auditing purposes. It's time-stamped, it's date-stamped. So rather than having random emails fly around the organisation, everything is encrypted within the trailed system. In this example, go ahead and hit reject. So awaiting follow-up and reject. So the role of the approver is also very simple, just sitting in a different tab, but the process is very similar. At this point now, we come back into all invoices and we're interested in approved invoices only. So if I click on the approved invoices and select them all and hit the export selected, that is where they land in the screen that hopefully you're all familiar with for those of you who are on MYOB Advanced, and this is the bills and adjustments section. So all those exported invoices have landed in bills and adjustments, which is where ordinarily you would have started the process and manually entered all the information. And this is now where you can go ahead and create your ABA file. One final check and measure that CFOs and finance managers love is once you've created your ABA file, we actually put a copy of that ABA file back into the payment section of Trailed. This is an ABA file that's been put in there earlier. The reason we do that is if everything's been done correctly in this entire process, everything should look like a string of green ticks. So it's showing you the suppliers you're going to pay, the amounts you're about to pay, the bank details you're about to pay into, and any final risk warnings. So if everything's a green ticket up until this point, you can sleep easy at night to understand that all your payments are hitting the correct suppliers. If there are any final risk warnings, they will present themselves at the top of the screen. So this particular ABA file being loaded into Trailed is telling us that a company called Stone and Drums, you're about to pay them $601. However, no prior payments have been made to this supplier. Their ABN number is not active. They're not registered for GST, and they've charged you GST within the invoice. In this example, bank details may have been manipulated. So there's a whole bunch of fraud protection risks that present themselves in this final stage before funds are officially released to the bank. Once you're happy with the way that this ABA file looks, we simply come in, mark the file as paid, upload to the bank, and that's your standard process complete. So I know I've completely zipped through that demo. I tried to do it in record time, but please hit up your team at Momentum or reach out to us at Trailed if you'd like a one-on-one customized demonstration. Back over to you, Al.
Thanks, Rada. And I think that's a fairly obviously a terrific example of digitization of process, because what many of our customers are doing right now is doing all of those things manually, possibly excluding the fraud prevention, other than just manually double checking some things. So thank you for your attendance today. I appreciate everybody who stayed on for a little past the time we originally scheduled. Most importantly, we hope the content that we provided today was informative for you and that you've got some things that you can take away and apply in your business. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to ping us or just take yourself off mute and fire away. Otherwise, we'll send the recording around after the session. Thank you very much.